So she did talk about Word Express, so I want to add to it and just kind of put it all in a nutshell. By the way, my government name is Keisha Freed, and she's right. A lot of people call me Word Express, but the name of my company is wordexpress.com and publishing. The publishing part is self-explanatory. Everybody knows what that is. Word Express can be summed up in pretty much 4 words. Number 1, connect. Number 2, collaborate. Number 3, produce. Number 4, to uplift and inspire. Our artists are actually, writers and publishers and editors, but we're also photographers. We're also visual artists. We're also playwrights and filmmakers, etc., etc. We have 146 members worldwide. I am very proud because I've been at this for a short time. So, connect. Our artists connect with one another with the potential to collaborate to produce a product, a project, or a program to inspire and help other people. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. There's some other little tidbits that we do. I interview artists and, do motivational kind of stuff to keep people inspired, artists inspired to share their gifts and their talents. So that's Word Express in a nutshell. So I've been invited to talk about writing for a cause. And, that's pretty much a thing for Word Express. But before I do that, I want to talk about writing in general. I'm going to talk about something that I like to do personally. And I have a hunch that most writers do this, but they may not be aware that they do it. But, I just want to talk about it because it's going to tie into everything. When I was asked to write about writing for a cause, I wasn't quite sure what to say. So I spent several weeks with all these ideas and all these thoughts. And then suddenly, yesterday, as I was trying to time and do all this stuff, I realized this ain't working. And I was like, okay. And some of you writers can, probably relate to this. You can have all these thoughts and these ideas, but sometimes it just doesn't flow. You relate to that, right, Derek? It wasn't flowing. It didn't feel right. And if you're a writer and artist, you know that things have to feel right in order for them to flow. So here's a little technique that I like to use. First step, it's called emptiness. And I'm so glad Sid is here because I know Sid can relate to this. It's called emptiness. You take everything that you think you ought to say and should say and dump it. Now you have created an open space. Now there is nothing. And it's a scary feeling because you're like, oh my gosh, I got to say something tomorrow, right? But emptiness requires a lot of faith. So at that point you say, God, tell me what it is that you want me to say. And this creates an openness because now you have moved yourself out of the way for something bigger, to send a bigger message through you to feed, to inspire, and help others. And so that's my little secret, but it's probably not a secret because, like I said, I think a lot of spoken word artists and poets and writers and even artists use it, but they don't realize that that's what's happening. We are a vessel. In order to be a vessel, you have to be open. You have to move yourself out of the way. So that's my little technique about writing. So now to writing for a cause. The other day, I was reading an interesting email that was addressed to writers and poets, and it said, we writers and poets, we understand why writing is important. We need to express ourselves. It gives us an opportunity to explore ourselves, to discover ourselves. And I thought about that and said, you know what, that's probably the predominant reason why people write, to know thyself. It is a great vehicle to understand who you are, understand your circumstances and all that you've gone through. So I realized, when I interviewed a lot of writers, I have noticed that most of them say, I'm trying to understand who I am. This is why I write. But when it comes to writing, a lot of times, I think on an unconscious level, what we're really trying to do is find meaning in our lives. Writers in the room, would you all agree with me? A lot of times you're trying to find meaning on an unconscious level, and writing is a great tool to do that, because now you're taking your thoughts from the invisible and bringing them down to paper, and you find meaning in the spaces in between the lines and in between the words. There is a message. Let me give you an example. Back in November, December, I was invited to join a group called Women Empowered, and we had our first sisterhood social, and I was asked to write a poem on sisterhood. And I was like, oh, God, I don't know if I can do that, you know. So I went through my whole process of emptiness and listening, and what I realized was that I had had 3 painful experiences with my sisters in 1 year, back to back. July, August, November, bam, bam, bam. And what occurred to me was, that's your message. You can take your life mess and make it your message. And it was painful. It was painful to put it on paper, and I said, but I can't be negative. We got to be positive. We got enough negativity in the world. Got to be positive. So I started with my personal insights. You know how women think this and they think that about you, and they really don't know you at all. And then gradually shifted to what we could be if we came together in numbers, and how we can make a difference, and how we can love and support each other. So I found my message just by processing my own personal experience. You can take your life mess and turn it into a message. The second reason why writers write, and I don't hear a lot of people say this, but this has become my favorite approach, and it is to be a voice for other people. Be a voice for people who are vulnerable, like those who are domestically abused or child abused. Be a message for those who cannot articulate what they are feeling, like a breast cancer patient or a veteran with PTSD. This is a magical gift, because now you have the opportunity to take your talent and use it to benefit someone else. A lot of times those people don't have an audience. You already have an audience. So you can, once again, step aside and allow yourself to share your talent, your gift, and spread their message to the audience. I'll give you an example. WordExpress.com, the biggest project that we have so far is our breast cancer community support campaign. It has 3 parts to it, but I'm only going to talk about one. The first one is our breast cancer anthology. That came about just by one little experience in my life. I had no idea this was going to grow into a campaign. I was listening to a 2-time breast cancer survivor and a caregiver who took care of his mom for 3.5 years have this conversation. And I couldn't get in the conversation because I didn't know anything about breast cancer. All I could do was listen. And in that listening and observing, I started to hear this message. You know, it's like a pattern. And I realized, this is sad. Breast cancer patients do not tell anybody that they have breast cancer, and they suffer alone. That is insane. And so from that came my spoken word piece, Don't Dare Tell. And after I did that, I realized, you know, people really don't know about this, and I want people to know that there are people out there suffering with this, and they're not talking. They don't understand. So I began to interview. I had a breast cancer survivor that is a member of Word Express. She had written a beautiful book called Cries in the Wind that talks about her spiritual journey with breast cancer. And I interviewed Danita Jones, who is a playwright and did a beautifully choreographed play where she had taken breast cancer survivors' testimonies and turned it into dance. It was just beautiful, heart-touching, tear-jerking. And as I interviewed them, I got more information about what these women go through. So then I decided that I wanted to challenge the Word Express writers, poets, authors, and even breast cancer survivors stepped up. And I asked them, the poets and the writers, I want you to try this. I want you to try to be a voice for these men and women who are suffering with breast cancer. See if you can get in their body and tell their story. But it's got to be inspirational. We're not talking about death. It's got to be inspirational. It's got to be uplifting, because I want to give them this gift. When their family members desert them, or when they're afraid to tell somebody, I want them to get that spiritual, mental, and emotional nourishment to, deal with this, to face it. And the poets and the writers really, really stepped up. Some of them I got to talk to one-on-one. They didn't quite understand where I was coming from. But in essence, this project became more than about writing for a cause. It was about touching people's lives. The cause is not a cause. Breast cancer is not about breast cancer. Breast cancer is about people. PTSD and veterans is not about PTSD. It's about people. And so our writers were inspired to take their talents to touch people's lives. And that's what's so beautiful about writing for a cause. You have the opportunity to tap into something bigger than yourself and to touch the mind and hearts and lives of other people. We have started a movement with this book. It's not just a book, it is a movement, because what's happening? Breast cancer survivors and patients are told, you need to talk about this. You need to reach out to other women who are going through this. You need to open up and share. We're telling caregivers, we're telling family members, cancer does not always mean death. You've got to be positive when you are talking to a breast cancer patient and say, you can win, you can beat this. And so that is what Word Express is all about. I encourage you, if you have a talent and a gift, to step out of the closet, share what you have to give, and be a change in the world, be a change in your community, because nothing's going to change without you. All of us are needed to make a difference. Thank you for listening.